Sometimes in our sewing journey, we make things, but also sometimes we take them apart. Hello, it's Icy. Yes, today's adventures are actually a little different. Rather than making something, today what I'm going to be doing is taking apart this corset. This is a commercial corset that I purchased, I actually don't know how long ago, 5, 6, no, more? At least 6 years ago, I think. I'm actually not sure. It was my first foray into proper corsets, as opposed to kind of like a half-assed thing that I tried to make before, which kind of worked, but sort of didn't as well. So I, at the time, was not doing a lot of sewing, so I just went, okay, bugger it, I'm just going to buy one. For reference, the half-assed one was not the Elizabethan style you've seen earlier. There was another one in between. So I purchased this commercial corset. Now, at the time, it appeared to fit, but it was uncomfortable. But I mean, I was expecting, you know, not unwearably uncomfortable, just extended period of time uncomfortable, which I was expecting because it wasn't a custom corset. It was just an off the rack at my waist measurement at the time. As you can see, I know it's tied across here. That was just easier for now. It's got a decent amount of hip spring. That's fine. It looks pretty good, but as you can see, it pretty much does up at the back. Now, it's not quite closed this second, and that is because I have on 2 jumpers, a long sleeve shirt, a high-waisted pair of tights, a singlet, because it is really cold in this room. So imagine it doing all the way up at the back. So the other thing I have since discovered, and if you've watched some of the previous videos, you will have seen this revelation that I ran across, is I didn't realize quite a short distance, much shorter than average, between my bottom rib, which is about there, and the top of my hip bone, which is literally an inch below that. So the top of the iliac crest, I think it's called. That makes this corset, this is why I've always found this corset not comfortable, because it is literally here, right here, pressing in quite vigorously on my rib bones, on the bottom pair of ribs, which do stick out a little oddly. It's just the way my body is. That's perfectly fine. I did not realize that happened until I started to wear this corset. So, once I realized that, I mean, additionally, there's like a lot of room in here at the top of the ribs as well, underneath the actual rib cage. I could take out a good, I don't know, like a good 2 centimeters off either side of this as well. So at that point I realized, oh, okay, right now I actually need a real corset that fits. What are my options? So one option is to like adjust this one. I could literally kind of slash down the front panels, add some more room in at the rib, at the bottom of the ribs, and like take in the top. I had a look, and from the way this is made, it would require so much taking apart that it would be faster to make a new one. The other thing I thought of was I do have the Elizabethan style one, and interestingly there's an 1840s corset that I think, like, the front part is quite Elizabethan in shape, where it's the sort of quite scooped triangle, and then it just has some hip gauze, and the bust is opened up with some bust gauze as well. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is actually taking my Elizabethan corset and turning it into an 1840s corset. Is that the right era for the kinds of clothes I plan to make? No, but I'm going to assume that well, no, but I'm going to make the assumption that, like, I'm still wearing the same brassieres that I've owned for 20 years, because 20 years, 15, because they are in fact perfect. I stocked up when they still made them, and they look great and are super comfortable. So I'm going to assume that women in the Victorian and earlier times, when they found a corset that fitted them and it worked real good, they stuck with it for the time being. So that's my justification. Additionally, the happy there's a couple of gourd corsets from the late 1800s that look similar-ish, so it should, we're gonna go with that. But then there was the question of, so I'm not going to adjust this one, and I'm going to make a new one. The question was then, what do I do with this one? So I had a quick look. These sell for secondhand in Australia about $30. So completely not worth selling. So instead, what I decided to do was I decided to chop it apart. So if I'm going to make myself a backlaced but front busked, separate bust corset, then I will of course need a busk. And I don't actually own any. I do have some flat steel, and I also have a bunch of cable ties, and I also have some spiral steel. So I do actually have the actual like sort of structural elements, but I do not have a busk. And I also, while I have grommets, I don't actually have like a lace tape at all. So what I thought I would do is I would actually cut this corset apart and literally take out the busk and reuse it in a new corset. Now busks, there we go. Busks in Australia, at least, I have priced them. We're talking at least $12, and then another $10 delivery on top. And especially as I don't actually need any of the other bits to make a corset. I even have some couture still. That seemed like overkill. So I thought I would just cut this apart. Let's see, and then reuse it. So, have you ever wondered what the inside of a commercial corset looked like? So this is from a proper corset brand. It's not like an underwear brand. It is an actual corset brand. So we're about to find out. I think it cost me around, I'd have to check, $120, something like that. I mean, it wasn't particularly cheap, but it was okay. All right, so the busk is sewn, I mean, unsurprisingly, it's actually sewn in quite tight, so I'll need to chop it a little bit closer. So the general plan is I'm going to cut out the busk, both sides, obviously. I'm also going to cut off the eyelets, and I'm going to use the eyelets, I'm going to leave them laced, and I'm going to use the eyelets as, so I can sew those into mock-ups. So I'm pretty much just going to use that as like eyelet tape. How's that? Here we go. There we go, there we go. I'll have to finish unpinning that. All right, we might need to, gosh, I don't know. How am I going to actually get these on? Like when I go to put these back in again, this is going to be like a seriously interesting job. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the little, that's quite interesting. I don't know if normal busks have that. The little additional anchor points perhaps around each of the eyelets. It's certainly not, it's not sewn in there at all. This might be easier to do. There we go. But reuse, recycle, is this what we say? Absolutely. I am very here for using and recycling fabric, material, sheets, things that friends have given me, the whole thing. Like, I am absolutely going to reuse whatever I can find. I think it's a fantastic idea. Material going to landfill is a massive issue. You should be passing your clothes down to somebody else if they don't fit. Secondhand shops are fine, even if they're turned into rags. At least they're being used again. But if you can shop, even, did I miss? Oh, I missed cutting out a layer. Even if you can shop in thrift stores, even if I certainly don't have any objection to shopping and buying clothes and thrifts from thrift stores, but I know some people do, and that's fine. I would say, please do use secondhand sheets, secondhand curtains, maybe not towels, curtains, tablecloths, that kind of thing for your muslins. If you need to use a lot of material for mock-ups, do that, that's great. And also, once you've used that material, especially do consider whether you can chop down inside of it. If you're making a muslin for a skirt, can you reuse it for something smaller? Okay, so that's the first busk. So you can see it's got a little bit of a curve because I have actually broken that corset in at least a bit. I don't know if this is normal. It's actually not. It's about the same heaviness as perhaps the other flat steel I've got. So yeah, and it's just the busk on the front. There's no additional flat steels down the front of this corset at all. So let's see if we can get this out. I'll come this way. Oh my god, my hand is going to absolutely be killing me after this. Okay, let's see if that worked. Okay. Yep, pretty good. There we go. Once again, the ends are supported with it just looks like tool dip. So that's good, so it's not actually going to dig through anything. They're just sort of riveted in, but it's quite sharp on the back. I don't know if that's a problem because I've never bought a busk. So I don't know. I don't know if that should be smooth or not. If you do know, please let me know in the comments. That would be very, very helpful. Okay, so that's the other side of the busk. Now, what else are we doing? Well, we are pulling the fluff. I'm recording this video after just having made these curtains, and there's little bits of fluff everywhere. Okay, so now the thing I'm going to do, you'll see actually, there's actually two flat steel bones here. So there's one on either side of the lacing holes. So the plan is I'm actually going to cut safely past those. In fact, probably what I'm going to do is actually cut here instead, because I want a decent panel that I can actually kind of just quickly sew onto a mock-up. And the two sets of steel bones here will actually help support any mock-up that I'm actually working with. So let's cut down here instead, and we'll get this spiral steel out, shall we? this is a very heavy corset. I have not weighed it before, which I'm thinking I might need to, but it feels like it's a good kilogram. Like it weighs an absolute ton. So especially compared to the Elizabethan style one, which is all boned with, it only has, actually it's all boned with cable ties. The only steel in it is kind of the steel ruler that is working for a busk down the front. So there's my spiral steel, one of them. They're nicely capped actually, which is good. The disadvantage with spiral steel, unless you've got your own caps, and to be honest, I actually do have some. You've got to recap them somehow if you need to chop them down. So, but standard lengths mostly, so I might be able to work with that. So if we'll cut that off. Okay, so there's one side, and then I'll cut the other side off as well. I'm just going to put that down for a second because I thought that we might have a little look. Now that we've cut some bits off, shall we have a look at how this is actually put together? Shall I not drop this? That would be a good idea. Okay, let's just open this up. Okay, so we do have a waist. Okay, so there's the waist tape in a lovely gold. So it's not the strongest waist tape I've ever seen. Well, do I have a lot of experience? Not a great deal, but it's actually fairly thin. So it's quite an interesting, it's sort of thinner, less structured through the middle, and it's got quite wide selvages, and that seems to be where the strength comes from. But also this is not anchored all the way through to the actual busk. This is actually, like, you can see, that's cut a lot shorter than the busk. So what about on the back then? I'm just curious whether the waist tape, I kind of don't want to cut this open because then I'd need to finish it off again. I don't think the waist tape goes all the way over to the eyes. Might not. Okay, so then we've got, what else do we have here? So we have a grey layer, so we basically have a layer of black drill. We have the waist tape. We have, God, this is 4 layers, jeez. Okay, so we have a grey layer of, okay, so it's a twill weave at least. I'm gonna assume it feels a lot softer than couture would normally, but it is, it's very dense. I don't think it's canvas dark. And then the outer layer, you know, I can't tell anymore. The outer layer is actually got like a really, really heavy duty fusible interfacing on it. So it's, I mean, it's solid. It's certainly solid. Now I'm curious, so I'm gonna just, let's cut the next. I just want to see. It feels like that solid fusible layer might just be on the front, next to the actual busk, as opposed to through the whole corset. So I'm curious to see. So the rest of the corset, so it's got a fusible basically on the 2 sections next to the busk. It's got a very heavy duty fusible interfacing, and the rest is just a single, like just the couture. So with a front and back twill, like it feels like it's just a standard twill, a bit like a light denim. So that is a disassembled corset, at least partly. So I've got out of this side of the corset, there's another 2 bones here. There's the 2 bones I've just cut off that I actually need to rescue out. There's another 2 bones there. So on each side we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, no, 2, 4, 6, 7 spiral bones on each side. 4 flat steel bones down either side of the eyelets, but they'll be staying. Plus I do actually have quite a lot of that. And the busk itself. So that's pretty good. Certainly I could not buy all of that hardware for 30 bucks. And would anybody even buy this corset if I went to sell it? Probably not. I don't know what the market for secondhand corsets is like, but looking on eBay and the other places where I'd be able to sell it, it was pretty bleak. There was really not very much in the way of sales or interest or anything, pretty much. So yeah, so I'm fairly happy with that. This will be, I'm thinking I might need to, I don't know if I need to do something about these kind of little sharp. Can I do that in profile? Can you see? Not really? Anyway, I don't know if I need to do something about these little sharp sections. If nothing else, I could probably go at them with a file and just edge them down, like take the edges off. Mr. Icy will certainly have those tools. I think he also has tool dip as well, so I might even, yeah, they feel fine. I don't think they need any more tool dip on them, so, but I might just take the sharp bits off that, because I do want whatever corset I make in the future, I do want it to last for a long time, and having wear points on the inside is probably not conducive to that. So this was a fun little experiment to actually take apart something rather than put it together. The plan will be eventually, I don't know what the next one is, whether it's going to be the corset or if I'm going to do something else first. As per many corset videos you have probably already watched on the internets, there will be many mock-up stages, obviously. I have at least have the advantage if I'm building off the Elizabethan one. You can find it in one of the playlists, that I know it fits. It just needs to be sized down a tad. Yeah, because it currently, it closes, the Elizabethan style closes at the back. So I'll just need to take out some inches as well. So spiral steel, very, very bendy. Hi, this is Editing Icy. I've come to edit the video about the destruction of the corset and realized I don't have the end of the video. So here's me saying hi. Please ignore the continuity error of the different hair color. And do you have any questions about the corset that I chopped up? It was a fun exercise. I very much enjoyed it. Yeah, the construction, perfectly solid. That was absolutely fine. But yeah, if you've got any questions, do let me know. Do keep an eye out here for the next video and the next project. Thank you very much for watching. And I would very much appreciate a sub if you care to join me. I will talk to you next time. Bye.